Hello and welcome. I know that I've been absent for quite a while now. However, I heard that Wargaming decided to rebalance the Midway, so I had to come check it out. And so what has Wargaming done with the Midway? Well, she has a 2-2-2 loadout now. 2 fighters, 2 torpedo bombers, and 2 dive bombers. And she gets access to AP dive bombers, which in my opinion makes her alpha damage quite ridiculous, especially because AP dive bombers have a 4 times smaller area than HE dive bombers, which make them in my opinion the superior choice. Now the downside with this loadout is that the torpedo bombers are tier 8, so they are more fragile. However, there's one thing though. Damage output of torpedo bombers does not scale with tiers, which means that, well, it does a little bit, but not tier 8 versus tier 10. They will deal the same amount of damage. In this match I am against the Hakuryu, and it seems the Hakuryu does not have air supremacy, and as you can see, he only has 4 planes per squadron, and it seems he only has 2 squadrons even. And, you know, I have 7. So, yeah, as you can see, I just wiped out all of his fighters and I only lost 2 planes. Now, I can tell that the carrier on the enemy team is definitely going to still try to strike something, so I'll spread out my fighters and I will try to do a torpedo bomber drop on this Fletcher. A cross drop, since I haven't played much, I don't have much hope for it, especially since it seems that somebody has used defensive fire. But I still hit my 1 torpedo for a nice 9,000 damage, which almost took out the Fletcher. Now my follow-up will be with these AP dive bombers, and they will be on the Moskva because for some reason these AP dive bombers absolutely destroy ships like the Moskva. I hear from other people that they work really well against cruisers in general, but that doesn't appear to be the case. Also, I can see the enemy planes incoming. Unfortunately, I'm slightly out of position and I can't quite help, so I'll just try doing this kind of a somewhat awkward strafe to hope for the best. And now I'll switch over to the dive bombers because I can't really affect much on what's going to happen with that Donskoy. And I think this drop is more important. And the Moskva does not use defensive fire, which I will find out in a few minutes in chat why. And that's 11 dive bomber hits, and a nice 60,000 damage in just 1 attack. And there isn't all that much the Moskva could do about it. Now, it is possible for the Moskva, if the Moskva was moving, and she had started turning at the right time, it likely would have helped against the dive bomber drops. Less of the bombs would have actually hit the Moskva. However, it would still have done a massive amount of damage. Now it might not have outright sunk the Moskva. However, it likely would have still taken more than half of the HP, which means that there really isn't an effective way to fight against these kinds of AP bombers other than perhaps using defensive anti-air. Sorry, defense... DFAA. Defensive fire? Yes, I think it's defensive fire. Been so long that I don't even remember the names of the skills apparently. But it turns out that the Moskva had used that defensive anti-air earlier when I was dropping on the Fletcher, which ended up working out very nicely for me, I suppose. So basically, what do I think about the Midway? I think that she has too much alpha damage right now, because against average and bad players, when I say average and bad, I don't mean just, you know, people who aren't very good at it. I also mean ships that aren't very good against carriers, because if you don't have much anti-air, there isn't all that much you can do about, well, what the Midway does. Because your anti-air will simply not be enough to shoot down these tier 8 torpedo bombers. Let alone the dive bombers, of course. And this leads into this weird situation where you we're basically against strong targets with good players that have ships with good anti-air. It'll be really difficult to damage them, but it's really easy to damage players that aren't very good and don't have a lot of anti-air. Okay, so either the Zao or the Mogami in the sea cap use defensive fire, so I just pull my torpedo bombers back. I only lost one of them, so I still have, well, 11 to drop on something. And I'll just wait out this time and then go in, probably drop on the Zao and use the dive bombers on the Bismarck. Because, well, the Bismarck doesn't have anti-air, and since they're gonna have already used their defensive anti-air here, there's not all that much they can do unless the second cruiser has some more. Now, it is a bit difficult to drop on something like a Zao, because a Zao is really maneuverable, so it's really possible to trick the enemy carrier, but unfortunately for the Zao, it didn't work for him. So this is goodbye. From full HP. I only needed to hit half of the torpedoes for that, by the way. Okay, so this Bismarck has a massive 56,000 health and he is healing. She is healing. Now, I know I've not been paying much attention to my fighters. I definitely could improve on that and could have helped defend my teammate, but it is what it is, I suppose. Okay, the Bisco is at a nice 58,000 health. Let's see how much this helps against these dive bombers. Apparently not very much. 11 dive bomber hits and a nice devastating strike yet again. 3 kills for 3 devastating strikes, why not? And the opposing team only has 5 ships left. This Benson seems to be trying to take on the Xianyang. I'm not actually sure how to pronounce that name, so I apologize to anybody that knows that, because I have no idea. And by the way, if you do know, please let me know in the comments. I guess I will go and take my torpedo bombers to the Hakuryu then, because I don't think I'll make it to the Mogami, I don't think I will make it to the Yamato. And I want to use my secondaries on this Xianyang. So I'll try using my the rest of my planes on that Hakuryu. That's probably in the top right corner. Oh wow, the fighters just started running. Why? I don't understand. But then I strafed poorly and it didn't really help me. In fact, I think this is what you'd call being outplayed. Especially since I don't have ammunition, so I didn't actually take out any of those planes. But perhaps my second fighter squadron will make it over there to wipe the board yet again. Well, I can hope anyway. Doesn't seem like, yeah, I didn't make it. Too bad. Oh, they're engaging me. Wow, that's such a bad idea. Well, I guess this takes care of their torpedo bombers. Sorry, fighters. And I guess I will be going for the Hakuryu. By the way, I don't actually know what the Pan-Asian destroyers do either. Let alone the name. I hear they have radar, but I'm not actually certain of that. Since I haven't played a single match with them, or even looked at any of their stats. Okay, I guess I can't really intercept these torpedo bombers, which is slightly unfortunate, but, I mean, sorry. Not my problem. Oh, it's Minotaur and the Dmitry Donskoy. Yeah, I guess they probably don't really need all that much help. Okay, there's the Xianyang. Now that she finally has spotted me, she will likely come try to pay me a visit. My plan is to sit here for a little bit, go closer, and then turn one of my sides so that all of my secondaries start opening up on the destroyer. And hopefully that will be able to try to dodge some of the torpedoes too, so that I don't get one shot. Now I just click with the dive bombers on the Hakuryu because again, the drop circle is actually really small. By the way, the drop circle, when your planes are panicked, is smaller when you click on the opposing ship than if you do a manual drop. Which means that since this is a Hakuryu, she has defensive fire. She is going to use that defensive fire. This means that clicking is actually more effective than if I were to manual drop. Oh, and there's my secondaries taking out the Xianyang. Very nice, isn't it? And there's the torpedo hits and some dive bomber hits. Unfortunately, I think one of my torps didn't quite make it. But, you know, I had a really nice game, didn't I? Because the Midway is balanced, comrade. Really balanced. 190k damage, 3 devastating strikes, 1 close quarters expert, high caliber, 35 planes shot down, 4 ships destroyed, a nice 5000 base XP, 5000 XP, 2400 base XP, and unfortunately the opposing Hakuryu had a poor game because of me, because my planes were... Actually, you know what, I didn't really run his game, because I didn't really shoot down all that many of his strike planes. So his result is his own doing. And as you can see, this game only lasted for a massive 11 minutes, and I managed to deal 190,000 damage in this time. I took out the Moskva, almost full HP, and the Bismarck, almost full HP, with the AP dive bombers. And this is why I don't like them. Whereas on the Hakuryu, those same AP dive bombers did like, what, 8,000 damage? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know, I didn't make one for a while. I will try to fix this to get on a regular schedule and all that. And I thank you for your patience. And I would also like to thank the Patreons for their patience and their continued support. And I hope I'll see you guys next time.